71 says solve the quadratic by completing the square. Was it the completing the square part? Okay. I'm not crazy concerned with that, but the way I teach completing the square is to add your 11 over. I leave a space there, and I take half of this term and square it. So half of this is negative 3, right? And square that, and that will give me that perfect square trinomial format that we've been talking about. Like that's a perfect square, that's a perfect square. The product of them is 3x, and double that is the middle term, right? So what happens here is that this factors into x minus 3 squared equals 20. And when you complete the square, you can solve by square root, which means I can square root both sides. So I get x minus 3 equals plus or minus root 20, and then I can add the 3 to both sides. So x equals 3 plus or minus root 20. And then that root 20 I can reduce down to 2 root 5. So I'm personally not crazy about completing the square, like that you have to know that necessarily, as long as you can solve the quadratic. Okay? And then 85, but that's a good thing to clear up so people don't stress about it. Completing the square? What is it? Compute the discriminant of each equation. You've never heard of a discriminant? Okay. The discriminant is, does anybody know? Right, so this number under here in the quadratic formula, that's the discriminant. And when you calculate the discriminant, it gives you some insight as to the type of answers you're going to get. For instance, if I get a negative number, I'm going to get imaginary solutions because I'm trying to take the square root of a negative. If I get 0, I'm only going to get one answer because whether I add 0 or subtract 0, it's not going to divert me into the typical 2 solutions that you get with a quadratic. And if I get a positive number, I am going to get 2 answers. Okay, so it gives you some insight. So on 85, b squared is 121 minus 4ac, 121 minus 24 is going to give me a discriminant of 97, which is a positive number. So I'm going to get plus or minus the square root of that positive number. It's not a nice positive number, though, to have to take the square root of. So I am going to get 2 solutions, but they're going to be irrational. If it was a nice number like the square root of 100, I'd get rational. Still 2 solutions, but rational. Because it's 97, and we don't have a square root of that nicely, it's irrational. So that's what it tells you about the number and the type of the solutions. Again, a good thing to clear up.